All right, Buckeyes fans, the Ohio State Buckeyes take care of business in a really convincing fashion, 35-7 over the Iowa Hawkeyes in a game that we wanted to look good. It came out and maybe started a little sloppy, but the Buckeyes certainly finished strong in the second half and got a huge win. We bring it to you next on this episode of the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness, is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast for our instant analysis segment here following Ohio State's 35-7 victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes. Anthony Moeglin here with you alongside my partner, Kevin Woidke. And Kevin, we talked before the game about some stuff we wanted to see, and maybe early on it didn't look as clean as we had hoped so, but the Ohio State Buckeyes certainly came out in the second half and made this game a non-contest and totally dominated Iowa en route to a very nice and convincing 35-7 victory.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what happened. I mean, it was a slower start, but, you know, they kind of got into it, and this is what I thought was going to happen. I mean, this is our first real test, and they hit us in the mouth to start, and, you know, we bounced back, and that's, I mean, it shows resilience, but it also shows, like, hey, you know what? It's not all going to be Marshalls and Western Michigans and, you know, Archbishop Hobans. Like, I mean, it's real football out here. Like, this is a great example of it. This is a real football defense and a real football running back, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and shout out, like you did, you put a nice little plug in there. Shout out to my boys at home, the Walsh Jesuit Warriors. Got a huge win last night against the Akron Hoban Knights. But you guys didn't come here for high school football talk. Kevin and I could start a whole nother podcast, and we could do that for you. But we're talking Buckeyes, and you're right, man. I mean, I thought it was so evident, especially throughout the first half. Like, we've seen spurts in these first couple games where, hey, Ohio State doesn't look good for a drive, and then they come out and they clean up their mistakes and they go forward. But for the first time, and even in Michigan State, it was like a tough quarter that they had, and they were kind of struggling to really get going. But tonight was a tough half, right? And I was up in the press box thinking, like, this is Big Ten football. Like, Iowa was not moving the ball at all, but they had a couple really nice third down conversions. And say what you will about Cade McNamara, and we'll get into him in a little bit here, but early on in the game, he had a couple nice third down conversions, and it kind of went to what I said prior to in our pregame show. It's like this Iowa offense and this Iowa team, if they can control the football even for a little bit, it's going to take Ohio State out of their rhythm. And you saw that they weren't moving the ball like crazy, but they were possessing it like crazy, and it was keeping Ohio State's explosive offense off the field and also allowing them to not get any rhythm. So those two things connected made for a tough half. And you go into halftime 7-0 with a fumble from Jeremiah Smith and an interception from Will Howard. And, like, you don't feel all that great about it. Never felt like it was in doubt by any means, but it was one of those things, dude. And it's like, you can attest to it. Big Ten's a little bit different. And tonight was Ohio State's kind of baptism to the Big Ten in 2024.
Yeah. I mean, when we went into Iowa, when I was playing here, we got our faces kicked in. No other way to phrase it. I mean, there's that infamous picture of Coach Meyer eating Papa John's on a golf cart. I mean, there's not. It was just this team is always very talented. They're a very hard-nosed, old-fashioned style football team, and you know they've put up 30 points a game this year, which is out of their really comfort zone. But I mean, their tried and true method is slam the ball down your face and see what happens.
Yeah, and it's a really old school style offense. We won't get too off topic here, but I sat up there and I found myself wondering, like, how in 2024 is this offense still a thing, right? Where you're not throwing the football at all. You're really trying to just pound it. And especially you come into a game like this where you know Ohio State's got the ability to blow up the scoreboard, which they did, and it happened really fast in the second half. And you just are not built to combat that at all. And you had no chance once Ohio State went up 2 scores. So it was a nice win for the Buckeyes. And I thought, again, you're going to have a lot of learning to do from this in a win, which is really, really good. By no means is Iowa on the same level as a Western or a Marshall or Akron, where you and I could be we were critical about their performance. This was a nice win. You faced some adversity, you overcame it, and did so pretty well. So that takes us to kind of our first, or I guess our second topic here. Staying on the offensive side of the football, there were a number of guys that really had great performances and tough, strong performances. I thought when the O-line, Kevin, was called upon in critical situations, they showed up. A couple third down runs, a couple nice runs here and there, and protected pretty well. Kept Will pretty clean. I thought Will was okay tonight. I thought he did some good, some bad. They obviously made an effort to get him going in the run game, which you can kind of see. And then the two running backs I thought were pretty spectacular, or not spectacular. I thought they were pretty solid. The spectacular guys were Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith. Again, those two are both human highlight reels. But Kevin, you're up first. Who is your offensive player of the game tonight?
My offensive player of the game, we kind of talked about it before the show. I think it's Emeka. I mean, he showed why he came back. He showed, the reason. I mean, he could have gone to the NFL. I mean, and it's not because we had a shortage of talent here. It's he wanted to come back, and he's showing why he did. He doesn't want to be a second round pick. He wants to be a first round pick, and he's showing first round value. And today was a great example of that.
Just one of the things that stands out to me is like, all right, we're getting so used to Emeka's pure athletic ability, and he catches legitimately everything that's thrown his way. There were a couple ones that weren't even his big touchdowns that I was like, how did he get both hands on it? And let alone, he didn't just get hands on it. He caught the football. It was pretty spectacular. But, Emeka's leadership is something that is just jumps off the page to me. He's the old head in that room, I'd say. And he's a veteran guy who's been there, done that. And for him too, I was thinking about this during his post-game press conference, which you can catch over or on this YouTube channel on Ohio State Buckeyes on SI. But I was just watching him talk and listening to him, and he's so well-spoken and says all the right things. But I'm like thinking about his career, and I'm like, all right, this is a guy who comes from Washington all the way across the country, and he's kind of been second fiddle to some real legit superstars. And it's like, all right, you put him on any other team in the country, he's the number one receiver. You put him in any other era, I think, of Ohio State football, he's probably a number one. But instead, he came here the 4 years that he had to deal with Marvin Harrison Jr., who obviously is one of the best ever. And then he's got Jeremiah Smith, who is really good, is really young, but has all the hype. But that just stood out to me. He's so mature, his leadership abilities in that room, and just like, hey, he could have went anywhere in the country, but he stayed at Ohio State because he knew what this year meant to him. It meant to this team and all of his teammates. So thought that was pretty cool. Emeka finishes the night, 9 catches, 71 yards, 3 touchdowns, got to pay dirt 3 times. You always love seeing that for a guy like that, that the entire team loves. All right, for me, player of the game, outside of Emeka, I know we talked about this before. You got him. I'm going to go with Quinshon Judkins. I think that there was a couple times in the first half where it was kind of starting to feel weird. Like, again, I never thought Iowa could do enough to score, but it was getting a weird feeling to this game. And this dude, Quinshon Judkins, when they give him the football, he has bad intentions in mind. Like, he doesn't run to just play patty cake and run out of bounds. Like, he wants to run through you. Like Marshawn Lynch once said, like, I want to run through someone's face again and again and again and again and again. Yep. That's what you get. That's the feeling you get when he's running the football. And there's one run coming this direction towards where I'm standing right now, where he didn't bust it for a big one, maybe a 12-yard gain, but he went in the hole and just buried a linebacker into the ground with a 6 stiff arm and broke a tackle and got some extra yards. I just love watching him run. He finishes the game 13 carries for 78 yards, no touchdowns, but I thought he was pretty strong in the run game today.
Yeah, he ran his heart out. You could see it they were zooming in on him on the TV copy of the game, and he was getting amped. Like, he was running through people and yelling and screaming and probably calling him too little. That's just the reality of what it was. And he was like, and he's known as the guy who's shifty and can avoid people. And it shows he's not afraid to run right through you too if he needs to. He had a broken spin move in NCAA because he's that athletic, and now he's running through people like he's Travion. Like, it's crazy.
He's pretty special. And that offense, while it felt clunky at times, finishes and has a really nice day. They rush Yeah, sorry. They rushed for 203 yards. This is why my eyes deceive me. They rushed for 203 yards, and they threw it for 209 yards. So when Coach talks about being balanced 50-50, I think you saw that. And they were one of the first teams. I'm going to butcher this stat here because I have to look it up. I had a buddy send this to me while you were watching, and if you were watching the TV copy of the game, when Ohio State went down the field and scored on their opening drive, it was the first time an Iowa opponent had scored on their opening drive in their last 27 games, dating back to 2022 when Michigan did it the last time. So just another good example of that's a Chip Kelly effect. That stat right there is all Chip Kelly. They were really prepared, came out, had a good game plan to start, and everyone executed very well. And that drive ended in pay dirt. So a really nice one there. All right, flipping sides of the ball. This Ohio State defense was challenged by the Iowa running back Caleb Johnson earlier in the week, saying that, hey, even if he had an offer, he wouldn't have come to Ohio State. His goal was to beat Ohio State, and they did it. And the Ohio State defense did a really nice job. Held him to 86 yards on the ground, the first time this year that he didn't eclipse 100 yards. He found the end zone with that drive late in the game, but I thought the defense, not only in the run game, was spectacular, but the secondary made Cade McNamara's life hell, and so did the defensive line up front. Once they started rolling, you saw it, Kevin. It was like first half was a stalemate back and forth. Second half, you saw Ohio State's just force kind of take over, and they leaned on them, and it was pretty evident early in that second half.
Yep, I think Tyleik Williams was probably my defensive player of the game, or not Tyleik Williams. Shoot, why am I blanking on his name? His last name's Hamilton. I'm spacing on his first name. Why am I spacing?
Ty Hamilton. Yeah, you're
Ty
good.
Hamilton.
You're
It's been
good.
a long day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking Tavon, and I'm like, no, little Tavon. I mean, he forced that fumble that Cade McNamara came in. It's crazy when you got to play a fair game against Ohio State. And then, he forced that fumble, and then I can't remember. I might be making this up, but I'm giving player of the game anyway. Either him or Tyleik tipped that ball that Igbinosa picked off, and I don't know which one it was, but I'm going to give it to Ty and say it was him, and that's why he's my defensive player of the game.
It was awesome up front when those guys get to rolling in the center of the defensive line. I think that it just frees up everything especially on the edges. That gets JT and Jack into some one-on-one situations where they can really rush the passer with authority and really get after it. So I thought they were spectacular in the front. For me, it's going to be tough. I'll try not to do this. I do this every show. Caleb Downs was awesome today. He had that one play early in the game where he flew from depth. It was off of a motion. They switched it. Denzel went back into the post, and Caleb came down. They threw it to the flat, and he just laid out the tight end, whomever caught it. I thought he was really good. But the guy who kind of stood out to me was Lathan Ransom. I think that Lathan is in this interesting he's in this interesting position where he is really freaking good, kind of similar to Emeka. He's one of the best players on this defense, but he's got two stars around him that play the same position. But there was one play tonight in particular where he stuck the running back in the backfield coming from a safety position and just went to the hole like his hair was on fire, and he was evident he was evident in the run game all game today. So for me, I'm going to give mine to Lathan Ransom. Had a couple really nice impact plays, and is just doing a great job in the back end. Those three, it's my favorite part of this Ohio State defense, where it's Lathan Ransom, Jordan Hancock, and Caleb Downs, and they just rotate into different positions. I thought they were all pretty spectacular. But for Ohio State, they did what they had to do. They shut the door on this Iowa offense and held them to 7 points. Iowa has been scoring a lot. This looked like a more Iowa-based offense where they weren't able to really move the ball at all. But final numbers on the day, they threw the ball for 110 yards. Cade McNamara finished with under 100. Their backup, Brandon Sullivan, came in, had a 12-yard completion, and they rushed it for 116 yards, only scoring 7 points, that late one to kind of punch it in. So all in all, without watching the tape or looking at anything, a gut reaction, a gut grade for me is an A from this defense. I thought they were awesome all day and did what they had to do to get the win. All right, Kevin, we flip back to the other side of the football. This kid is unbelievable. Jeremiah Smith, 18 years old, we'll say it every single week. You've got to be kidding me. He comes out and every time he touches the ball, first of all, he's electric. He's the fastest dude on the field by a mile. You saw it on his big deep ball down the center of the field. And then he's just so skilled. You saw another one-handed catch happen just right over my left shoulder here in this corner of the end zone. And man, all of this came after a fumble, which was uncharacteristic of him. I thought he was spectacular. I don't know. Maybe it's just me who thinks, like, everybody thinks this dude's crazy, but I don't know. What was your favorite Jeremiah Smith play from tonight?
And I love the one that looked like a 8th grader playing with their 4th grade little brother in the front yard. Like, that's just what it looked like. He went up. I mean, I've been around. I've played that with my little cousins, where you go up with a one-handed catch on a loud pass. I mean, Will underthrew him the play before. He would have had a touchdown, and instead of running the ball in, Coach Day's like, "Well, no, you messed up, so now we're going to throw him another one." And they just went single coverage, which I don't know why anybody's still doing this. It's absolutely crazy, in my opinion. He went up, grabbed it with one hand, came down, shoved the defender almost into the ROTC section, and then just was like flexing. I mean, him and Ryan Williams in Alabama are 17, 18 years old that don't make any sense that they're this good already. It's crazy. Like the body, his hands, Ryan Williams' body control, both their speed. It's nuts. It really is.
It's unbelievable. And I just keep thinking, like, it's amazing. Like, this kid's 18, and the one that caught my attention was the deep ball that you talked about that Will kind of underthrew, and watching him run on that. We'll show it tomorrow when we break it down. He just ran straight and just ran past everybody on the field. And at one point when the ball was flying through the air, Will is always going to underthrow him because this guy's a deer. But secondly, like, the closest guy was he had beat everybody by 10 yards. It was unbelievable just watching him run. And dude, from an offensive perspective, Ohio State's offense was a little stagnant, right? Couldn't get it going. Nothing was really happening. They come out, in the second half, and they call Jeremiah's number. Like, "Hey, dude, go make a play and be the best athlete on the field, and we're going to find you the ball. Or we're going to find a way to get you the football." And I thought he'd change the game.
He did. I mean, Emeka's the one who kept us in the game, and Jeremiah is the one that gave us the fuel that pushed through. Because without Emeka scoring 3 touchdowns, we have nothing. And then, and Jeremiah was poised to even fall apart. I mean, he fumbled. Donovan Jackson tried to be an athlete and pick up the ball. He just got knocked that out of bounds. But we'll get to that tomorrow. That's just what it was. And I mean, like, we always hype him up. And I think that the reason that they have to single cover him is because what are you going to do? You're going to leave somebody else open? You're going to leave Cardell Tate? You're going to leave Emeka? You're going to leave Brandon Ennis? I mean, anybody against any secondary, like, show me a team in the country that has enough secondary that can go, all right, we can go too high. Everyone else plays man and see what happens. It's crazy. It's never going to happen.
And to even beyond that, you want to do that, more power to you. Go double Emeka and let's say double Emeka and JJ. We're going to run it right down your throat for 60 straight minutes. Have fun. Have fun with that one. But I just thought he was special. I think the play that, while those two stand out from a highlight perspective, I think the one that was like the most like in game, like it was a huge play, it was 3rd and long, and Will found him on like a comeback or an outcut to the right side of the field, and he catches it. Instead of going out of bounds, he turns up, he looks for work, and he jukes the corner out and gets a 15 yards. I think it was like 3rd and 20 maybe, and it set up a short 4th and 3. So my math isn't there. Never was a math guy. So let's say it was 3rd and 18 and he got 15 to set up 4th and 3. But anyway, kid's special. Every time he touches the ball, it's liable to go. And he's so fun to watch, and we're so lucky to have him. We may have to just do a Jeremiah segment every week, Kevin, because this guy's special. All right, they're gonna put this one to bed here soon. You get the 24-hour rule. You get to celebrate for 24 hours. And I have a feeling that this team, I know this fan base is chomping at the bit for this one, but this team, man, they want these Oregon Ducks, and they're gonna get them finally next Saturday.
Yeah, I think Oregon, a lot of people have been talking about this to be the game. I don't know if Oregon's really shown that they're ready to compete with a team of Ohio State's caliber yet, but who knows? Everyone gets up for a big game. It's in Eugene. I mean, I bet Phil Knight rolls out some random thing that's going to make them some new shoe or something. Who knows to hype them up? I mean, Nike's loving this game because it's their number 2 biggest revenue generators.
Mhm.
I think that it's going to be I do think it's going to be Dylan Daniels. Is that his first name?
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel. I mean, he's a talent. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's very talented. Oregon's never been like a bad team. I mean, they've got good offensive linemen. I mean, we're gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to do some more deep dive into them because I haven't been really watching them because I don't like to stay up for those 10:30 games. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm excited to see it. I mean, this was the first test, and the next one's just the next test. I think that's just what it is. I think you're getting a different animal next week. You're not gonna get a ground and pound team. You're not gonna get the Tennessee Titans from 2015 to 2020. You're gonna get more of like a regular spread offense, throw it around, move it quickly, and Chip Kelly revenge game.
Yeah. Oh, Chip Kelly revenge game. I didn't even think of that. That's a that's a good one there. I mean, this is the first one that is like, all right, you get through Iowa and you can convince yourself to get through the preseason, right? Where the guys, and they've said all the right things. And I truthfully, Kevin, believe they've approached every game in the right way. They haven't overlooked opponents, but man, it's got to be really tough. We're now in week 6 of the season, and 3 of those weeks were against MAC-ish type schools. You had a bye week, and then you played kind of 2 of the, this is going to be disrespectful, but 2 of the bottom feeders ish. I'd say Iowa's a little more of that middle of the pack, but Michigan State's still trying to work their way up. So it's like hard to get up for this type of a game, these types of games. But for this one, you're going to be prime time, man. It's going to be a 7:30 Eastern kick. You're going to have the eyes of all of college football on you. And it's just going to be fantastic, man. It's everything that's good about college football is going to be next week when the Ducks and the Buckeyes, the Ducks and Bucks, they don't continue that rhyme. But when those 2 teams link up next week, it's going to be awesome. One common opponent for Oregon and Ohio State was Michigan State. Oregon played them on Friday night. They got a 31-10 victory, had 2 goal line turnovers. So, if you just cash those in for touchdowns, let's say, let's give them benefit of 1, 38-10 potential victory there. So similar score to what Ohio State did when they went to East Lansing. So we'll see. It's going to be an awesome week. It's going to be really a really exciting week. So Kevin, before we head out of here, any final thoughts on the Ohio State team that was on the field tonight, or anything from the game?
No, I mean, I'm just excited to keep watching them go. I mean, Michigan State, last night they moved the ball well against Oregon. I think our offense is going to come out and keep doing that. Hopefully, I think Oregon's going to be focusing a lot on defense this week. And, I'm just glad we got out of here. We asserted the dominance and got out of here without any major injuries. No ambulances on the field. So anytime that happens, it's success from both sides of the ball, both sides of the field too, Ohio State and Iowa. So, it was fun. It was a good game. Caleb Johnson learned why he didn't come to Ohio State. And, that's kind of what happens.
You almost got all the way through Iowa week without getting it back in there, but you did.
Nope,
just an awesome. Oh, hey, the G Scott 10 seconds. How did we do tonight? Looked like he was.
I thought he did well. I thought he did solid. I mean, the G Scott 10 seconds. I like that. We got to think of a catchier name for that. Maybe,
yes.
Maybe the GT.
That's homework for us. But
yeah.
This offense doesn't use tight ends much, as we're seeing now. Like, get the ball in your best players, like your incredible players' hands. So there's not a lot of room for that. But like you said, we do kind of have fun with it. But when a tight end is on the field, it causes a ton of problems for the defense. And G and Will Kazmarek are playing pretty solid there. So tongue in cheek, we do like to have a little bit of fun with that. But wait, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, yeah. I mean, these defenses are going to have to switch to a dime soon enough just to cover these wide receivers. So you're telling me there's a linebacker covering either G. Scott or Travion or Quinshawn out the backfield? Like, you put a linebacker on G. Scott, look out. Because him with the ball in space, good luck. Good luck. Another Washington guy. He's from Washington, isn't he?
I'm going to have to – I don't know. I don't know the answer to that
He
one.
might be a Washington guy too. But, I'm excited. I'm absolutely excited.
It's awesome. It's going to be a great week. So we appreciate you guys jumping in with us after the game here. I love seeing this community grow when we do all these videos, and we love doing them, and we really appreciate it. So thank you for jumping in with us and all your support on our YouTube channel, Ohio State Buckeyes on SI. If you want to hit that like and subscribe button, we definitely appreciate it. Drop a comment in there as well. Some things that you'd like to see better from Kevin and I, or some things that you think we could improve upon or add to kind of our repertoire. But we'll plan to be back with you tomorrow morning, getting back in the film room just as the Buckeyes are doing. We'll do with you here on our channel, breaking down what that was on the field tonight. A really nice victory, and we'll do it alongside. You got London football tomorrow. A reminder to everybody: you got a 9:30 NFL kickoff between the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings. So we're gonna get a little Garrett Wilson action. So we'll do our film review alongside of that. So get your 2 screens set up wherever you eat your bagel and drink your coffee. But for all of our video stuff, you can find it on right here on our YouTube channel. For all of our written stuff, and we got a ton of it tonight. The guys are going through right now and giving you all their thoughts on the night that was over on si.com/college/Ohio State for all things Buckeyes. So for Kevin, I'm Anthony Moeglin, signing off for Ohio State Buckeyes on SI after the Ohio State Buckeyes get a nice 35-7 victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes.